Welcome to the FemiNinja Project. I am your host, Cheryl I Love, middle-aged ninja hiding in plain sight, dedicated to restoring human dignity one person at a time and helping you unleash your personal power. Discover that it's possible to look like a woman, act like a lady, move like a ninja, and think like a warrior. And remember, men are always welcome on the FemiNinja Project. Welcome to another episode of the FemiNinja Project. And this is actually episode number 72. And it's the first time I managed to find a fellow female martial artist to have on the show. I'm really excited to be talking to her today. She is also a business owner. She recently launched her own business, and her name is Rhyan Diller. So Rhyan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited that you could be with us today, and I'm really excited because, oh my gosh, another martial artist, another woman who is in that crazy world of martial arts. So tell us a little bit about your journey into the world of martial arts and why you got started and how it's been working out for you so far.
Well, honestly, it's something had always wanted to do like my whole life and was kind of a little too afraid to. And I just one day was like Googling like kickboxing classes near me. This was probably like 4 years ago. And I found a gym. I started doing kickboxing classes that were really like just kind of fitness kickboxing style. And it was super fun. And it definitely started kind of like my fitness journey, I think, more than anything. And eventually I moved away. I didn't move away from Colorado, but I moved kind of away from that gym and had to find a new gym because that gym was just too far at that point. And so when I found a new gym, the new gym that I went to was more of a MMA and kickboxing gym. And so I started just taking kickboxing classes at this new gym. And then one of the coaches there was like, oh, you should try doing a jujutsu class. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And I had always seen the jujitsu people like doing jujitsu. And I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's my style. That seems very close.
In BJJ, you do a lot of stuff on the floor and a lot of grappling, right?
Yes. I'd say like the best way I can explain it to people who don't know what it is, it's like it's most similar to wrestling, but still very different. All grappling for the most part. Some stand up, but I'm lazy and don't like the stand up pieces for sure. But so I just kind of started dabbling in it, and I took a class, and at first I honestly hated it at first. Like I was so bad at it. I was terrible. It was so foreign, like all of the body movements and the partner training and drills and everything was just so different from anything I've ever done.
Especially with the partner training, because I'm guessing that it was a predominantly male studio.
Yeah.
And to be that close and personal with a strange man that you don't know, grappling on the floor is really uncomfortable.
Yes, it was very foreign at first. And I always like tell people, anybody getting into it, like to kind of expect that. But it took me a while to adjust, absolutely, because it was very strange. And so I stayed at that gym for about a year and kind of just started there. And I kind of joke because looking back on it, I really didn't like the sport at first. And looking back on it, I kind of wonder like why I stayed. And I think a piece of me like was like mad that I wasn't good at it and wanted to get better at it more than anything.
That's what I was wondering. If you really didn't like it, what made you stay?
I think out of stubbornness, I was like, no, I'm going to at least get somewhat decent at this.
Oh, there is a lot to be said for incomparable stubbornness. I have a lot of that myself. So
yes. And so it was funny when I got like a little over a year in, I'd say a year and a half, it kind of got to a point where I was like, I don't know if this is something I want to stick with. I don't know if I liked it. And a piece of it was kind of the culture at my gym, which was it was a very male dominant gym. There was very few females when I was kind of starting to train. And I think on a regular basis, there was like 2 other females that I trained with, and they were not as consistent as I was at the time. And so I was often like partnering with men. And I think there's just something to be said for when it is a predominantly male gym. I think the coaches do need to be really cognizant of just how they're training together, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. And just like knowing that, men are just naturally a lot stronger oftentimes than women and can roll a lot harder. And
And they can hit the floor harder.
yes, yes. So at the time, at like about a year and a half in, I was kind of just ready. I was almost ready to quit, honestly. And because I was over it, I was over, a lot of the male culture at the gym, as far as just, I didn't feel like there was a heavy emphasis as a female to support me in my training and my growth there.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually went to, it's called a Girls and Geese event,
Uh-huh.
which was super fun. And it was the first time I saw, I swear to God, there was like a room of like 30 plus women, all who did jujitsu or some sort of martial art. It wasn't all jujitsu, primarily jujitsu. But I went there and it was literally the first time I had ever like seen that many women who trained martial arts, and the first time I'd ever seen a woman who were upper belts in martial arts, because I was just a white belt at the time.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, this is amazing. I didn't know these people existed. I was
Right.
like, I thought they were just like this foreign image that I maybe wanted to be one day. And so that was really cool. And I actually connected with one of the female who at the time was a brown belt. And I connected with her and I was just like, hey, I'd love to hear about your gym. I've kind of been thinking about either quitting or leaving my gym, just because I was pretty unhappy there at the time. And so it was nice to connect with her. And I actually tried out this new gym, and it was very cool because it had so many females that trained there, of really all ages and demographics and everything. So it was really awesome to see that, and see that community of women that were at the new gym that I actually ended up going to. And so I did do that switch and I changed, and I'm still doing it, minus the COVID pandemic.
Oh,
Um,
well, everyone's getting a little break in their training right now.
right? I'm like, it's going to be a rough return of like cardio for sure. But yeah, so I've been doing it almost, let me think here, 3 years now, I think, maybe a little over 3 years.
So I know
Um,
that in BJJ do your belt levels differently, like that we do. We
yes.
have quite a few different divisions and subdivisions of belts, but you go right from your white belt to the blue belt, correct?
Yep, it goes. So there's only 5 belts in jujitsu. It's a little different for kids, but for kind of the adults, it's pretty much white, blue, purple, brown, and black.
Uh-huh.
And kind of similar to yours as well, it's about a 10-year track to
Right.
get a black belt in jujitsu. So it's definitely a long run.
It's definitely a commitment.
Yes,
It's not
yes.
something you just dabble in and then walk out with a black belt one day.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that's a huge piece of the culture and the community there, is everybody that is training is, I mean, they're in it. Like
Yeah.
the people want to be like, some people have been there for over 10 years. They compete. It's a huge part of everyone's life.
Uh-huh. Well, we never competed. I mean, our art doesn't do that. We don't do competitions, but
Yeah.
it's just the entire culture just shocked me at first, because when I figured, well, I was going to take a few classes, learn a few things. And when I walked in and these people had notebooks, and I'm like, notebooks? I thought this was kind of like a form of recreation. You people are like way too serious for me. And I thought, there is no way I'm going to ever take this that seriously. I'm just going to take a few classes and quit. And that was 17 years ago.
Right.
It really gets into your blood or into your soul or your spirit or something, and completely takes over.
Oh yeah, it really does. I feel like as soon as I got like truly into it, it was such a big part of like my life. Like everything I was kind of thinking about, I would like relate it back in different ways. And
Mhm.
I was adjusting my diet to eat healthier so I could train better and
Uh-huh.
like everything. It's very interesting. And I was never really like that. I've never been, I mean, I guess I've never been like a true athlete per se. So it was definitely the first time I had really gotten that into a sport. I mean, I had dabbled in sports kind of throughout life, but nothing that I like super committed to.
Mhm. Well, I'm not the least bit athletic. I'm the first person to admit that. Never did sports. Even growing up, if somebody tried to get me to play ball, I would always run screaming away from the ball because I hated sports. I mean, it just wasn't anything that appealed to me. But the martial arts, there was enough of an art in it, since, I'm a dancer. And I really didn't see the connection at first, but it almost is like a dance.
Yeah.
Only instead of trying to glide gracefully with your partner, you're trying to take them down.
Yes. Yes, that's super true. I always like, especially jujitsu for me became, I don't know, the best way I can explain it, almost like a puzzle that you will never be able to solve. It was always like these pieces and learning where to move next and learning how to like flow with it. And it's something that I feel like I could do for the rest of my life and still not be an expert at, because
Well,
there's just so many different things to learn in it.
it almost reminds me of, but the game called Twister.
Yeah.
It was a floor game, and that's kind of what it's like. And we would, do like ninja puzzles or ninja chess games, in the dojo, where you would do like one move and then you'd have to freeze, and then your partner would counter it, and then they would freeze, and just to kind of figure out different ways that you could take somebody's balance or take their weight or take them down, or how you could escape from certain things. So it is really cool, especially when you're doing it really slowly, because it's just like pieces of a puzzle that has
Yeah.
almost infinite possibilities.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And there you are trying to figure it out and trying to win.
Yeah.
Are you a blue belt now, or?
Yeah, I'm a blue belt now. I just got my blue belt about a year ago. It was last summer.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you cry?
I didn't cry. It was kind of a long journey, and it was kind of funny because towards the end of me being a white belt, I would like roll with other women and partners and training and everything, and everyone would look at me and be like, "You're not a white belt." And so I think by the time I got my blue belt, everyone was like, "Finally." So
Yeah,
it was
right.
kind of funny. But it did take me a hot minute to get my blue belt. So I was definitely ready, and it was really fun. And I had actually the week before I got my blue belt, I had done a huge jujitsu competition in Las Vegas, which was like the
Ooh,
biggest competition I had done to date. It was very intimidating and very scary. And
wow.
so that was like a nice little last hurrah to my white belt, because I competed at white belt level in Vegas, which was super fun. So when I came back, my coach gave me my blue belt, and that was really great.
So I wanted to ask you this because, like you said, it was super scary and you were so uncomfortable. You were putting yourself so far out of your comfort zone to do something like that. And I can really relate to that. I understand. But what do you think you got out of that? Because life is full of really uncomfortable situations.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think more than anything, just having like, for me, just being able to like actually do it was like a success, whether or not I won or lost or whatever. And I won one competition and lost one, but it was so far outside of my comfort zone that like it's something that I a few years ago would have never considered.
Hmm.
Like I'm not a person who really likes to be in the spotlight, which you kind of are, of like you're competing, your whole team's looking at you, the refs looking at you, like
Yeah, you're kind of
I'm
like the focus of everybody's attention.
yeah. So I'm definitely not a person who likes to be in the spotlight. I get very nervous. It was I mean, also just the amount of people that were in this competition. And jiu-jitsu is a really cool sport in that, I mean, there's not really like a professional level or like an Olympic level of jiu-jitsu. And so these big competitions really are like kind of, I guess, what you could say, like we're all the pros. So everybody who's anybody in jiu-jitsu was like walking around, and there was hundreds of people and a bunch of other mats competing all at the same time. And so the
Wow.
environment was just so different from anything I've ever been in. And I was like so panicked. I was like, oh my God. And that was really cool to like be able to like see that too, especially in seeing like other like high level black belt competitors or women competitors, and just being able to like share, I wasn't like competing with them of course, but like being able to like be in that same space as them. I was like, wow, this is cool. And it was very inspiring. And I always compare it to like anything that I do, I feel like in my normal life or work life now, I'm like, well, it's not as scary as like competing in jujitsu where you like bump fist and then they try to kill you for 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It puts a lot of things into perspective, doesn't it?
Yes.
So, congratulations, because you recently launched your own business and went out on your own after working for a company for quite a while, right?
Yes. Well, as an independent contractor, yes. So I've
Okay.
been a realtor for about, gosh, almost 5 years now.
Okay.
And I was previously working at a company doing a little bit more of kind of the real estate like admin and compliance side, and I was in a salaried position, and it was an amazing experience. Like honestly, like I don't think I could have done what I did today if I didn't have that background. But towards the end of it, I was just like I was feeling very stuck. I was feeling very unhappy. I was not really liking the direction that my career was going. And I kind of felt like I was helping build other people's career, but not my own.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually decided to make the transition and become a full independent real estate broker. I am at a new company, so not my own company, but I have my license hung with them. But
Mm-hmm.
essentially, I'm in like my own real estate business with them, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. So you
Yeah.
basically are an independent, like an independent contractor or something under their umbrella?
Yes. So I'm under a company called Love Your Hood right now,
Mm-hmm.
which I actually chose, one, because they were a smaller company and I love the kind of feel and like community of being at a smaller company, and their like values and focus really aligned with how I wanted to do business, which was like a really like community focus, not really looking at real estate as like a sales transaction and a paycheck, which I feel like is very common in the industry,
Uh-huh.
but more looking as like bringing people to place and bringing, really helping people find their true home, which is something that I think it's a little bit lost, when can get lost sometimes in that of like, you're really helping people find where they might raise a family or build wealth or live for the rest of their life or whatever it may be. And it's a huge deal. And so for me, I was like very drawn to that kind of values in the business, and that's how I wanted to conduct my business, in a very like client focused and value focused approach, and knowing that people are making sometimes what's the biggest decision of their lives, and I
Uh-huh.
don't ever want to take that lightly.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you put more of the focus on the relationship rather than the closing of the sale.
Yes.
It's almost like you're doing some of the jujitsu, with the,
Yeah.
real estate jujitsu of trying to find the right fit and put the pieces of the puzzle together and problem solve and see what's the best way you can help them find the perfect home for them.
Yes, definitely.
It's amazing how that just keeps coming back into your life, not only in your business but your daily life. The martial arts training, it's amazing. It's something that once you do it, it's always there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's such a big piece of my life and who I am and how I operate, I think, just because of it.
Hmm. And so when you were kind of making this decision to go out, leave your current job and go out and become that independent contractor, was that anxiety provoking for you, or was it fearful?
Oh my gosh, so fearful. So much fear. I mean, for me, I'm very much so a creature of routine and comfort almost, and I've always been very like, having stability has been very important to me. Never a person that takes decision making very lightly, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
And so when I started thinking about this process, I was very nervous, because I was switching from a salary position to a commission only position, and that was in itself daunting. And then I had all of the fears of like, well, what if I'm not successful, or what if clients don't want to work with me, or what if I do a terrible job, and everything that could go wrong was in my head. Absolutely. And I actually had a life coach who I worked with, named Bryn Brown. And one thing that she had said that really resonated with me was like recognizing your fears and sitting with your fears and like acknowledging them as okay. Like, it's okay that I have this fear, but then also recognizing and be able to move past it. And so that was really helpful for me, just to like make the final decision of whether or not my happiness was important, like more important to me than where I was, of like being comfortable, I guess. And so ultimately I came to the decision. I was like, yes, it was. And I made the jump and I switched companies, and then COVID hit, which was really fun. And then the world stopped for a minute.
A little longer than a minute.
Yeah.
It's just finally, after all this time, starting to slowly gear back up again. But I mean, my goodness, you finally take that leap, and that leap of faith, you find the courage, you just conquer your fears, and you do it. And it's all of a sudden, boom, here comes this pandemic. I mean, did you have a few minutes of doubt?
Oh my God, absolutely. I mean, for me, I was just like, okay, well, couldn't have picked worse timing. But I mean, it's been kind of cool because I think at the beginning I definitely had like a lot of anxiety around it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I was ready to like kind of hit the ground running, and when COVID hit, I just couldn't. Like there was only so much I could do to kind of try to start building, and it definitely took me a while to get out of that mindset of maybe like failure, I guess, of like, this is my failure, this isn't going to work.
Uh-huh.
And so that was tricky, and it took me a minute to kind of get out of that. And I feel like I had a lot of growth in it. I've definitely been using this time to work on like my systems and my business and building the relationships that will hopefully like help me in the future, and recognizing that it's definitely, you know, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So
Right.
it's going to take a minute, which I'm totally okay with. And it's been nice. Like, I feel like this is something maybe like a blessing in disguise. Like everybody I think in the world could have used more time to focus on something in their life for
Right.
sure.
Right.
So for me, I've just been trying to use the time and for like personal growth, and whether that's like my business or I've just been like journaling more and meditating more, and it's definitely like helped me. I'm coming to a point where I'm like, there's the light at the end of the tunnel. This isn't going to be forever. It's a really, really, really rough patch, and it's
Yes.
definitely not fun for anyone. I know there's so many people that's affected by this
Uh-huh.
in different ways, whether it's financially or emotionally or anything. And as long as I can like keep that mindset and recognize that, I think we'll all come out of this on the other side.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have that perspective because, I never would have taken this much time off away
Yeah.
from everything that I do. And a lot of really good things have come out of it. Like, wow, my closets are also well organized now. I can see where everyth's at, and got an awful lot of stuff done too, not only in my business life and my business planning, but in my personal life and just time at home, even, with my husband and my dogs. And my husband and I have been together for 40 years, which is really hard for me to believe. And
Wow.
we haven't been married that long, but only 33 years. But in 40 years' time, we have never spent this much time together. And it's turned out okay. We're still talking. We still like each other, but it's all good. It's all good. And my heart really breaks to think of people out there who might not be in good relationships or who are really suffering. But on the other hand, this is really an opportunity to figure out who we are, what we want out of life, and how to prioritize what's really important and what's not. And for me, one of the things about, oh my gosh, what if I fail? What if I'm wrong? It's like, well, who cares?
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, I've messed up before. So, it's just like same old, and it's okay because it's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah.
I have got to ask you, you have a boyfriend, right?
Yes.
What does he think about your martial arts skills?
Oh, well, we met in jujitsu. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so we do it together. It's great. It's it's really awesome. It's fun to have a partner and a training partner and all in one.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And
Yeah.
somebody who can really support you and understands everything that you're going through too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's really funny because we're actually like surprisingly we're really different in a lot of ways, because he's a chemist and in
Ah,
sciences, and he's working on his PhD right now in chemistry, which is like so far
wow.
over my head it's not even funny. Like he
Wow.
tries so hard to talk to me about it, and I'm like, I have no clue what you're telling me right now. Right? So it's cool to like have, I mean, it's what started our relationship in the first place, that we could like really bond over. And it's really cool to like have that as, I don't know, something that we can always do together and always like relate on, and also just be able to like train together, which is super fun because he's like one of my favorite training partners.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not like he doesn't have a vested interest in helping you get really good at it too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's funny, like the dynamic of it is pretty funny because I'm actually not like super competitive when I'm with my training partners. Like
Uh-huh.
I'm always, oh, I want to learn from you and like roll with you, and it's funny because I get super competitive with him because he's like way better than me, and I'm like, I'm determined to beat you one day. Like I am determined.
Is he a
And
blue
so
belt as well?
Yeah, he's a blue belt, but he's kind of a fake blue belt almost because he's been training like 7 years, but he's been training on and off, and
Got it.
he's switched gyms a lot. And so I think he's definitely an advanced blue belt.
Well, it seems like he's got an awful lot on his plate if he's working on his PhD in chemistry.
Yes. Yeah. So he's not able to train as much as he would like, but we still definitely get to the gym together as much as we can.
Oh, how fun. I can hear a whole lot of really good stories coming out of that.
Yeah. It's definitely fun. It was a fun way to meet too.
So what would you say to anybody who's listening to this right now who might be riding the fence about maybe taking either a martial arts class or even just a self-defense class for women or something like that? What would you tell them?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I would say one, it's super scary. Walking into any gym is terrifying at first because you don't know anyone. It's a bunch of people that like can kill you. And and it's not an easy jump, but I'd say it's so worth it. Like it may be exaggerating, but I do feel like in some ways jujitsu like truly like saved my life. I definitely struggled a lot just kind of with like depression and anxiety, and doing martial arts was like really game changing for me, and it was just really empowering and brought a lot of different mindsets, and I think piece of that is just really learning and connecting with your body and learning what it can do and is truly capable of. And I think that skill transfers over into a lot of different ways just in life and martial arts, and also safety, especially as a woman. I feel like knowing like that you have that under your belt a little bit and are able to like kind of defend yourself if you had to, it's just very empowering.
Were you surprised at how strong you really felt when you did start taking classes?
Not at the beginning. At the beginning, I felt horrible because I was just so bad at it. But like once I started training and really, I think what got me hooked was the first time I was rolling with a guy who was like a little bit bigger than me and got to choke him out. And I was like,
ooh,
wow. I was like, that was
girl.
Yeah. And I was, well, I'm hooked now. And I don't think there's ever any looking back after that. And so I think once I started realizing, and it's not an easy path. It's not like an overnight, like you're going to be able to like truly defend yourself or know what to do in a fight. I mean, I've been training like 3 years and I still joke that I wouldn't know what to do in a fight if I had to, but I do think it gives you the basics. And I think that there's something to that of knowing truly what you're capable of.
Right. Well, I would have to disagree. I have a funny feeling that something would just kind of come out of you without even realizing it, because I think that, it's so deeply ingrained in you at this point. And the other thing that I just wanted to bring up is that when you do have some skills or a skill set like this, you're not a victim. I mean, you're not a target, because perpetrators are looking for an easy target. They're looking for, women who might be distracted, not paying attention, or looking meek or vulnerable. And there's a certain way of walking and carrying yourself when you do study martial arts that people can pick up on. They don't know exactly what it is, but it's like, that girl has got something going on and she's confident and I don't want to mess with her.
Yeah. It's very true.
Yeah, I actually have a friend who is a bit older than me who has 2 grown children, and both of her children were in Taekwondo for years and years and years, and went all the way up to the level of black belt and studied for many, many years. And she says to this day, because her daughter, she's a son and a daughter, and her daughter is an attorney, and she says to this day, her daughter will say, "Mom, that training is with me every single day that I have to go to court and I'm standing in front of a judge." She said there is something about that power, the strength, and the composure. She said it still stays with me.
Yeah. I think any like statuses or like superficial things that you have and see in society a lot really when you go into a gym, it's just like your community and how hard you train, and the more you train, the better you get. And that is kind of where I think the respect lies, is just hard work and discipline and respect, and which is, I think, sometimes very different than what the world is.
Right, exactly. That's a really good point about the respect. And the other thing I wanted to bring up that you said a little bit earlier was talking about, when you're with a partner and it was like, oh gosh, I just want to learn from you. I want to roll with you. I want to do this. And one of the things that we do in martial arts, I know in my art, and sounds like in yours and all the other ones as well, is that we teach each other. We learn from each other and we teach each other. So it's really this open exchange of ideas and learning together and growing together. So it's a very incredible experience of even the white belt is teaching the black belt and the black belt is teaching the white belt, but you're learning from each other at the same time. It's an incredible compatibility.
Oh, yeah.
So when you can do that in a situation where someone's trying to kill you, if you have a difficult business situation or confrontation in your personal life, it's a little bit easier to deal with it because you've got a skill set. Not that you're going to take them down, but you just have that kind of composure and the confidence and a lot more flexibility in how you handle different situations.
Yes.
So tell us again the name of the company that you work for and how people can get a hold of you if they're looking to buy a house right now.
Yeah, so I am with Love Your Hood. We're in kind of North Denver area. And then you can find me on LinkedIn as well and on all of those social media platforms.
And tell us again, if it's okay, the name of the gym that you work out at, if you wanted to give them a plug.
Yeah, I work at train at Compound Training Center. There's a location in Denver, and then there's also a location in Littleton area.
What's the name of it?
Compound with a K.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to say thanks for giving a little bit of a plug too for Bryn Brown. She's one of our favorite people. She's a wonderful business coach and life coach too, I think, but really lovely lady. And she's the one that introduced the two of us.
She is. She is seriously amazing. She works magic.
So is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
I don't think so. This was wonderful. It was great chatting with you.
Ryan, it is wonderful to have you on the show. And to my listeners, check her out. Look her up on LinkedIn. Check out the website, the organization that she's with, loveyourhood.com.
Yes.
Okay. And really, if you are considering taking a self-defense class, considering taking a martial arts class, and you just can't get through the door, send me a message. I'll be happy to give you a pep talk. Get a girlfriend, get a partner, somebody that the two of you can walk into the gym together or the dojo together, so there's at least one other person that you know in the room, because that would probably help. But just go ahead and do it. Just take that step, because what you can get from martial arts training is absolutely phenomenal, and it really is a life-altering art. So just go ahead and go for it. And that's a wrap on another episode of the FemiNinja Project. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, be safe, be strong, and until next time, bye now.